Do you dare to look into the mirror after this story? If you're a fan of horror and mystery, don't forget to like and subscribe to receive the latest terrifying tales. Sarah was living alone in a small apartment after moving to the city for work. The apartment was a bit dated, but it was quiet and affordable. The only thing that caught her attention was the large mirror hanging in the living room. The mirror was antique, with an intricately carved wooden frame, but it reflected the image with eerie clarity. At first, Sarah didn't pay much attention to the mirror, but as the days passed, she began to notice something strange. Whenever she walked past the mirror, she felt her reflection move slightly after she turned away. The movement was subtle, like a slight smile or a sideways glance, but it was enough to make her stop and stare in the mirror, trying to confirm what she saw. One night, as Sarah was sitting in the living room reading a book, she heard a soft scratching sound coming from the direction of the mirror. She slowly raised her head, her heart pounding. At first, she saw nothing but her normal reflection. But after a few moments, she noticed that her reflection was staring directly at her, even as she was looking at the book. She threw the book aside and approached the mirror hesitantly. "Am I imagining things?" she asked herself. But when she stood in front of the mirror, she saw something that made her blood run cold. Her reflection was smiling back at her, but its smile was distorted and frightening as if it belonged to someone else. Sarah screamed and stepped back, but the reflection didn't move. It just stood there, staring at her with an evil grin. She tried closing her eyes, but couldn't bear to look away. Suddenly, the reflection began to move on its own, moving away from the mirror as if it were emerging from it. Sarah panicked as she tried to escape, but her feet were planted firmly in place. The reflection came out of the mirror and stood in front of her, staring at her with blank eyes. "Who are you?" Sarah whispered in a trembling voice. The reflection didn't answer. Instead, it slowly raised its hand and placed it on Sarah's face. She felt an icy cold touch spread through her body, and then she began to lose control. She tried to resist, but it felt as if her soul was being sucked from her body. When she woke up in the morning, Sarah was sitting in front of the mirror, but something was different. She looked at her reflection, but it wasn't her real reflection. A distorted smile appeared on her face in the mirror, even though she wasn't smiling. From that day on, Sarah began to notice changes in her behavior. She was doing things she didn't remember doing and hearing voices coming from the mirror at night. She tried to remove the mirror, but it was strangely attached to the wall, as if it were a part of it. Eventually, Sarah succumbed to the power that controlled her. The mirror now controlled her actions while her soul was trapped inside the reflection, viewing the world through someone else's eyes. Now, if you pass by that old apartment at night, you might see a faint light shining through the window. And if you look closely, you might see Sarah standing in front of the mirror, smiling at you with a distorted smile, her eyes reflecting indescribable horror. Now, if you pass by that old apartment at night, you might see a faint light shining through the window. And if you look closely, you might see Sarah standing in front of the mirror, smiling at you with a distorted smile, her eyes reflecting indescribable horror.